For the world's most affluent buyers, a sprawling waterfront estate is a baseline expectation. The actual separator, the highest tier of residential luxury, is the integration of a private, deep-water superyacht dock directly at the edge of the lawn. Having a vessel permanently stationed at the back door eliminates the usual friction of travel. It reduces the window between deciding to leave and actually throttling out to open water to a matter of minutes. Supporting vessels measuring up to 150 feet in length requires massive physical footprints and heavy-duty marine infrastructure. This highly specialized capability routinely pushes the valuation of these estates past $48 million, dwarfing the estates around them. Yet, while the finished aesthetic suggests total ease, making this infrastructure function requires navigating intense logistical and regulatory resistance. Achieving a life free of friction means first overcoming some of the most complex, restrictive, and defensive hurdles in the real estate market. Evaluating these estates requires looking past the architecture and focusing entirely on the structural realities of the coastline. As we see in this vector schematic, maneuvering a mega-yacht into a residential slip is an exercise in precise geometry. A buyer must calculate the exact turning radius of the canal and guarantee the underwater draft is deep enough to clear the vessel's hull. The environment adds another layer of physical constraint. A tidal rising of just a few feet against a fixed bridge can permanently trap a multi-million-dollar ship, cutting off its route to the ocean. Even if the physical path is clear, owners must contend with strict local zoning laws, environmental impact assessments, and overlapping marine authority regulations just to maintain the slip. Every time the yacht leaves the dock, the crew must thread massive tonnage through narrow public waterways, operating with razor-thin margins alongside neighboring properties. This is why integrated private dockage commands such a massive premium over leasing a slip in a commercial marina. Securing a property capable of supporting a mega-yacht demands the same rigorous due diligence as acquiring private aviation infrastructure. The physical environment must flawlessly match the machine. Because these vessels are hyper-valuable and impossible to hide, docking them in a residential neighborhood turns the home into a highly visible target, attracting specialized threats. The most difficult threat to monitor approaches from below the waterline, where divers and compact submersibles can slip past standard perimeter gates undetected. To counter this, estates deploy military-grade sonar networks. These underwater diver detection systems actively track subaquatic anomalies up to 900 meters from the dock. Above the water, commercial drones and paparazzi present a constant risk to privacy. To neutralize this 3D model illustrates a system that generates an expanding 8-mile electronic exclusion zone around the property. If an unauthorized aircraft breaches that boundary, the system immediately jams the incoming signal and strips the pilot of their controls, blocking them from capturing any footage. Layering these defenses over the property's architecture effectively turns a luxury waterfront home into a heavily defended maritime compound. If an intruder manages to bypass the perimeter and board the vessel while docked, the crew has only a few minutes to react before a specialized response team can arrive. Internal defense protocols often trigger chemical smoke cloaking systems, rapidly filling corridors with a voluminous fog that drops visibility to zero and disorients the attacker. While the intruder is blinded, the occupants retreat to the vessel's citadel room, a reinforced panic room engineered for the ocean. These spaces are wrapped in ballistic-grade steel walls and equipped with independent air purification, separate food supplies, and overriding satellite controls that allow the owner to pilot the yacht remotely, even if the bridge is hijacked. At this tier of wealth, peace of mind requires building fail-safes for those rare moments when the surrounding security apparatus collapses. This evening view of these yachts illustrates the outcome of these defensive layers. Once the navigational hurdles are settled and the security protocols are integrated, they recede from being an active concern to the silent foundation of the estate. The labor of operating a large ship, provisioning supplies, coordinating crew, and scheduling maintenance happens out of sight, fully absorbed by the private infrastructure. The home and the ship function as a single, continuous environment. A resident can step directly from a lavish living space onto the deck of a waiting vessel without ever interacting with the public shore. This level of engineered access forces the surrounding world to reshape itself around the owner's schedule and demand for privacy. Ultimately, the home-docked superyacht represents the final tier of lifestyle engineering. It creates a closed loop where the owner moves from the master suite to the open sea without ever breaking their privacy or their pace.